Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I just want to make another silly little video just for me where I talk about my personal interests, one of them being skincare. I think I've mentioned it from one of my first few videos that I'm a huge fan of skincare, and it was one of the problem areas of my spending that I wanted to take control of when I was doing my low-buy year. So I've had a long history with buying skincare and trying out skincare, so I feel like I have a lot to say about this topic, and today I'll be making a video just on that, and I want to share my skincare, I don't want to say collection, but the skincare products that I use, and also my philosophy towards skincare, and maybe a bit about my skin history as well, and how my perspectives towards skincare and my skin has changed over the years. Sorry, I'm saying skin a lot, but I'm really excited for today's video and I hope you enjoy. So to start off, let's talk a bit about my skin type. So I have oily skin and I have acne-prone skin. And recently also my skin has become a lot more sensitive compared to when I was younger. So oily, acne-prone, and slightly sensitive. And my skin also is prone to having hyperpigmentation, which is basically the dark marks after you get a pimple. It's quite common for people with my skin tone, and I used to struggle with it a lot more back when I had more active acne. Now it's just managing the dark marks after I get the occasional pimple. I'll talk a little bit about my skin history as well, and I'll try to keep it brief in this video because honestly I could talk for hours about this topic. I've had such a long history with skincare. I've loved looking at cosmetics and beauty products since I was maybe 13 or 14. I was really big into beauty YouTube when it was popular back in like 2010. So I've experimented a lot with various skincare and makeup over the years, and I think now is when I feel the most confident in knowing exactly what I like and my priorities, and in a way how to save the most money if you're thinking about building a solid skincare routine. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'll go through everything in this storage container thing that I used to put my skincare, and I'm really excited to share with you. But firstly, let's talk a bit about my skin history. So like I said, I was really into skincare and makeup and cosmetics in general since I was in secondary school. And back then in 2010, my options were pretty much limited to what I could find in Watsons or Guardian. And those are not the most affordable places compared to now where you have more options, you can get anything online, and things are far more accessible. But anyway, when I was a teenager, I was thankfully blessed to have had clear skin then as a teenager compared to a lot of my peers who with puberty were getting acne. So I thought I was very lucky back then. Like my biggest skin concern when I was a teenager was my sebaceous filaments on my nose. If you know what that is, you know, but basically it's the little pores on your nose where if you touched my nose, you could feel it being really rough. So they call it strawberry nose. So at that age, pore strips were my best friend. I used a pore strip almost every week, and it was so satisfying but also frustrating because they would come back. Like those things are not a permanent solution, but when they worked really well. And I pretty much just lived off pore strips as my main skincare. I mean, I wash my face and stuff, and as for moisturizer, I honestly can't remember if I put anything else on my face and what those things would be. But I had oily skin all throughout secondary school, and that was my biggest issue. And so I think I remember buying like mattifying primers to put on my face just so that my skin wouldn't look so oily, especially my nose and my forehead area. Like as a teenager, that was my biggest insecurity. But I can't say that I knew much about skincare science back then. And so I was very easily influenced. As long as a product said mattifying or for oily skin, I wanted to try it because that was what I was concerned with. So that continued all the way until maybe university. So this is when my good luck ran out in terms of my skin, and when I was 20, I think, this was in 2016, that was when I started getting acne. And I still remember when it first came up. I was actually overseas in Cambodia on an overseas volunteer trip, and I started breaking out. So I was having like a few pimples on my cheek, but it was just a few too many. I usually never get any more than 1 or 2, and I was having like 5 on each cheek. And after that trip, it just got progressively worse until I had full-blown acne. Sorry, I'm smiling now, but it's actually a very painful memory. And unfortunately, I have very few pictures of that time, also because I don't want to put them on this video and have it be on the internet forever because it was a really difficult time, confidence-wise for me. And I think a lot of people with acne can relate, especially since growing up I never had bad skin and I sort of wore it as a badge of honor. But to suddenly get acne at 20 years old, like I was already in my second year of university and I was breaking out like a teenager. And I never went to a doctor about this, so I don't know for sure what was the cause and if there was a specific reason for why I happened to break out during that period. But I did make a few drastic life changes around that time. One of those changes being that I went vegan very suddenly. I was vegan for about a year and then vegetarian for the next 4 years, and then now I'm no longer vegan or vegetarian. But back then, that was a really drastic life change that I made. And shortly after that was when my skin started acting up. But I didn't connect the two, and back then, that was a really important cause for me. Cause as in social cause that I wanted to participate in. So I wonder if that had something to do with my skin suddenly breaking out. But I can't be sure because I was still not really eating meat much when my skin was clearing up. So it could just be that I was too drastic with it and I wasn't consuming a balanced, nutritious diet. So that could also be on me. And of course, these little things add up and cause downstream effects. So I'm not surprised if my having acne suddenly was a result of that life change. So that was my life for the next 2 years. So from when I was 20 to 22, it really got very bad up until 2017, so a whole year. And then I think what I was doing with my skincare then was working well enough that slowly those breakouts stopped happening, and then eventually it was just dealing with the aftermath, which was all the hyperpigmentation, the dark marks left over from all the acne. But gosh, when I had acne, that was also when I started wearing full makeup, like full foundation and concealer. That's about it really. I wasn't wearing eyeliner or anything, but I would just swipe concealer on my cheek and pat it all in and go about my day because I would rather look cakey with makeup than have people see how bad my acne was. Not that I hid it very well because you can still see texture and everything. And at the end of every day when I had to wash it all off and then I saw my reflection in the mirror, it was like seeing a different person because during the day I would see myself with makeup, and so I could almost ignore the fact that I had a lot of active breakouts on my face. But then when I had to wash it off at night, that was when I was reminded again that no, I actually have really bad skin. Gosh, that was a really difficult time. As a young adult, one of the hardest things I had to deal with as a young adult. Just coming out of teenagerhood. But the flip side of that is that I became really into skincare. But what I did wrong at first was I fell into the rabbit hole of natural, organic, clean skincare, because naturally, as an offshoot from like the whole veganism movement, was this obsession with clean, non-toxic beauty. And so I remember watching a video where this girl with acne was talking about how she puts jojoba oil on her face, like pure jojoba oil, and then tea tree on her acne. And so I did exactly that, and I think getting into organic, clean skincare probably set me back months when I could have just gone to a dermatologist or something and then get medication and proper treatment for my acne and solved it a lot faster. But instead I went down this rabbit hole of natural skincare, and yeah, it probably set me back many months because all that did was irritate my skin further, and when your skin is irritated it breaks out more, so I was just making my acne worse and worse. And it hurts, like putting raw tea tree essential oil on your breakouts hurt and sting like crazy. So please, if you are on this whole like natural skincare and it's not working for you, please reconsider. I don't think it's in fashion as much as it was back in 2016. I think now people are a lot more educated about skincare, but if you were like me, please reconsider, because I think you'll make far greater strides in improving your skin if you were to go to a dermatologist, or at least stick to something simple and with a proven scientific basis. Alright, that is my skincare sermon. So what happened after that was, in 2017, this was, I would say, the first wave. I could be wrong, but this was the first wave to me of the K-beauty craze. I know there was another wave during COVID, during the lockdown period, but I saw the first wave in 2017, and what happened during COVID was felt to me like just a second wave. So during the first wave of the K-beauty craze in 2017, I was watching YouTubers like Leah Yu. She was a huge one in the scene back then. And she made a lot of skincare education content, and it was through her videos that I realized that I was approaching skincare all wrong, because I was just coming out of my clean beauty phase and being disillusioned with the whole thing and almost wanting to give up because my skin was not getting any better, it was only getting worse. And then when I discovered Leah Yu, slowly I started changing up my skincare, really paying more attention to the products that I put on my skin, and that effort paid off. So after that, by the rest of 2017, I was trying to heal my skin, and slowly the breakouts became less and less frequent. I talked about the hyperpigmentation, that was something I still had to deal with. 2018 also was me just slowly healing my skin. It's a really long journey, that's the thing about skincare. It can break out overnight, but it can take months to recover from it. But I would say the turning point for me was 2018, and the things I was doing was slowly healing the dark marks I had on my skin, the leftover scars from when I had acne. And then 2019 was when people actually started complimenting my skin again, and they were asking me for my skincare routine. So that was me. So 2019 was me coming out of that long tunnel of having acne, and I was really happy. Like, it felt like I had finally gotten over something that I had struggled so long with. And really all that I was doing was keeping my skincare simple. So that was what Leah Yu said in her videos. She said to just cut back on the products you're using and focus on hydrating and moisturizing your skin. So I wasn't even using any fancy ingredient. I remember I was using the Isntree hyaluronic acid toner, and I was just patting that in my skin every morning and every night. And then I was using, I think, the CosRX snail cream, and that was just my skincare routine for a whole year and a half, and somehow that helped to heal my skin. I think because I just stopped doing crazy things with my skincare and trying all these wacky ingredients, I just stuck to focusing on hydrating and moisturizing it. If it's available to you and you can afford it, I would still highly suggest going to a dermatologist rather than trying to DIY it yourself, but I know it might not be affordable for some people. And the good news now is that there is no shortage of skincare information online, and a lot of dermatologists on YouTube also providing information, so I hope you can find the most reliable source. But the thing with good skin is that it does take effort to maintain. Even though my skin had gotten much better, in 2020 during the pandemic, I had really poor mental health, and so honestly skincare was the last thing on my mind, and I was doing the barest minimum in taking care of myself. So my skin did flare up again, and I got a few more pimples than usual, and it caused quite a few dark marks. So I spent the next few months after that trying to recover from that flare up during the pandemic. So it's definitely an ongoing process. It's a bit like exercise. You have to continually put effort in maintaining your skincare routine, just like you would your exercise routine or your diet. You can't put in effort once and expect your skin to be flawless for the rest of your life. So that is my long history with my skin. Because I know that I've gone through all of that, I'm very proud of myself for how far I've come and how much my skincare knowledge and how much my skin has improved over the last few years. But if you're going through acne right now, trust me, I know what it feels like or what it felt like. And if it really bothers you, I hope you can find something that works, because I don't think it's vain to care about your appearance. I care about my appearance a lot and the health of my skin, and I've stopped being shy about it. Like, I'll just talk about it if somebody asks me. So that is my story with my skin. Now I think I'll talk about what ingredients I prioritize in my skincare. So the most beneficial thing that I gained out of this whole acne situation was that I gained a very solid understanding of skincare science and what ingredients work and what ingredients are just fluff and marketing. So because of my skin type, which is oily, acne-prone, prone to hyperpigmentation, and slightly sensitive, I have a few ingredients that I always prioritize to have in my skincare routine. The first one is a retinol, or if you want a prescription version, it's either tretinoin or adapalene. And retinol is actually the cosmetic name, but these ingredients are technically under the umbrella of retinoids. So I should say that I prioritize retinoids. They're a bit of an all-purpose wonder ingredient, and they are the only ingredient, at least the prescription versions, that are scientifically proven to improve your skin. And that means anti-aging as well, and also improving the texture, improving acne. It was actually studied for its acne treatment, not for anti-aging. Anti-aging is just like a very positive side effect of the medication. Other ingredients that I prioritize include vitamin C, which I think is really good for improving hyperpigmentation and just lightening the dark spots. It's worked out really well for me. I also like AHAs and BHAs for exfoliation. AHAs work more on the surface of the skin, while BHAs go deeper into the pore to clear the pore out. But they both have their different purposes. It doesn't mean that because BHA goes deeper it's better. They're both beneficial for different reasons, so I like having both. Then for my acne specifically, I also like benzoyl peroxide. So those are the 5 ingredients that I always try my best to have in my skincare arsenal. So maybe I'll talk through what I have in my skincare arsenal. So what exactly is my current skincare routine? I'll try to go in order of my routine. So starting with cleansing my face all the way to the more infrequent treatments that I do. Let's start with the very first step, which is how I clean my face. So the very first thing I do at the end of every evening is do an oil cleanse. This is the oil cleanser that I use, and the purpose of using a cleansing oil is to get rid of makeup and sunscreen. So this is not the main cleansing, this is just to get rid of that first layer of dirt. And I have found this to be a really powerful step that I have not skipped since I started doing it in 2017. And I think this has made a really huge difference in getting my skin clean at the end of the day before I do my skincare. And it also really helps with reducing the buildup in your pores. So one thing about having oily skin is that you get a lot of clogged pores because the oil just builds up in your pore a lot faster. And this really helps to get rid of that. And over time, it has just reduced it entirely. Not that I have no pores anymore, but overall I just get less clogged pores when I use an oil cleanser. So I use this on my whole face at the end of every night. It's the first thing I do before I get in the shower. I also use this in the morning, but I only use it around my nose. So I target it around my nose, where I used to get a lot of sebaceous filaments that were really obvious and basically protruding. That's why I could always use the pore strips very satisfyingly. But I feel like using an oil cleanser on my nose every morning has also helped to reduce that. And this is really affordable. This is, I think you can get from Venus Beauty for about $12, I think. But you can get it when it's on sale on Shopee, you can get it for really cheap. Definitely worthwhile to get this when you're in Japan or stock up online if it's on sale. And this is one of the more affordable but still effective cleansing oils. I think with cleansing oil, find the cheapest one that you like using if budget is a concern. Because technically you don't even need it to be all that fancy, you just need it to be able to get rid of your makeup or your sunscreen. Even if you don't wear makeup, you want to get rid of your sunscreen and any of that first layer of grime on your face. So something definitely that you can save on, like don't buy a fancy cleansing oil. This is the most affordable one I have found and that I really love, so I have used many bottles of this. So that's my first step. Then to actually clean your face, I use a regular face cleanser. I use the CeraVe Acne Blemish Cleanser. The one that I have has German wording on it because I bought it from Venus Beauty and they import from a bunch of different places. So sometimes it's in French, sometimes it's in German. Or at least I think this is German. I'm not really sure, it could be Dutch for all I know. But this is already my second bottle, and generally I love CeraVe's cleansers. The cleanser that I was using when I was in the throes of my acne was the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, and that one was even more gentle than this one. That was basically like rubbing lotion on your face and then washing it off. This one has a bit more of the cleaning factor to it if you can't stand the kind of creamy cleanser. For instance, my mom hates the creamy kind of cleanser. She wants her cleanser to feel like it's really cleaning her skin. But sometimes if you use the overly stripping cleansers, that's also terrible for your skin barrier and will irritate your skin, and irritation causes more pimples. So best to find a gentle cleanser, the most gentle that can also give you the kind of cleaning power that you want. And I find that this is a really good middle ground. And it has salicylic acid as well, which is really good for cleaning out the pores and preventing pimples. So even though I don't get as many pimples now, I still do get the occasional pimple. I still use a salicylic acid cleanser because I just want to prevent anything from building up in my pores, and that's why I stick to this one. And I will continue to repurchase this because it's so accessible. I can get it from Venus Beauty. I think it's about, I could be wrong, but I think it's about $25, and this 230ml bottle lasts me for I think 6 months, so it's really cost effective. And I just use like not even a full pump, maybe I use half a pump every morning and night, and that's enough for my entire face. And it starts up pretty well, but after you wash it off, it doesn't feel stripping. So highly recommend. Cannot recommend this enough. And I really love CeraVe, so I trust their products. So those are my cleansing products. That usually happens in the shower. And then once I get out of the shower, I gently pat dry my face, not super dry, and then I usually go to my desk to do my skincare routine. So this contraption, this storage container, is always on my desk. Okay, I have this up because I was afraid that it would be too reflective, but it has a cover at the front, and I like it because it protects my skincare from gathering dust, and it's just more organized to have it in a container like this. What do you call this kind? Just a storage container, yes. Just a storage unit for my skincare. My friend introduced me to this, and I'll link it in the description below. This is my second one. I used to have a smaller one where it was just one tier, and then I got too many skincare products, so I had to give that one to my mom and then get a bigger one. Not everything in here is skincare. Some things are body care, and I'll skip those, and I'll just show you what I have that are specific to skincare that I use on a daily basis, or somewhat daily. So, say I've washed my face is dry and clean, and I walk over to my desk. Sometimes the first thing I'll do is spray this facial mist. This is the Dalba First Spray Serum. It's very popular. I think it's gone viral maybe. I'm not really sure. I am not on skincare TikTok. I'm not on TikTok at all, but I get secondhand information from my various skincare YouTubers that I follow. And when I was in Korea, this was being heavily marketed because it was during the winter season. And it's one of those bi-phase mists where you shake it up before you spray it, and then it'll mix the oil layer and the water layer. This would have been very good to use when I was in Korea, but I actually didn't even open it in Korea. I opened it in Singapore. And sometimes if my skin is feeling especially dry, I'll just mist this on my face, and that will rehydrate my skin. But honestly, this is a very nice to have, but definitely not a staple. So I've used quite a bit of it already because I have it, but if I don't have it, I don't think I will repurchase unless I'm feeling like I want to treat myself. And I don't have more than one. I think just having one in my skincare arsenal is enough, because it is nice to just spray a very light mist on my face when it's feeling dry. And I don't have any other toners, so I'm not against toners, it's just that currently I don't have any and I find it redundant in my routine. But this one is my only toner in my repertoire, and it's nice to have, not important to have. Putting that back. So now I think I'll talk about my actives. So actives are just a categorical term for anything that has a specific intended effect, whether it be exfoliating or anti-aging or some sort of active effect that you want it to be doing on your skin. So for my actives, I have 4 that I want to talk about. So remember when I mentioned the ingredients I was prioritizing? These are all of them. So let me start with the most powerful one, which is my retinol. This is actually tretinoin, which is the prescription version. And I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but technically tretinoin is a controlled medication in Singapore because it's a prescription-only medication in Singapore and in many other countries around the world. But in some countries like Thailand, I think Vietnam, but I may be wrong about that because I heard Vietnam recently made it prescription. But Thailand and India, it's not a prescription medication, so you can get it at the pharmacy. So my friend got me this from Thailand. So I don't know if I should be promoting this, but you can get the over-the-counter version, which is just retinol, and there are many retinol creams now in the market. So maybe I shall just call it a retinoid rather than tretinoin, but the one that I'm using is tretinoin. So a retinoid in general is a powerhouse ingredient that does a lot of the things that other ingredients do. So if you want just one active, go with a retinol, provided you can tolerate it. Because it's so powerful, a lot of people may find that it irritates their skin, like it'll make their skin red or itchy, or it'll become very dry. So just be careful, especially tretinoin, because I wouldn't recommend this anyhow to people. There's a real adjustment period when it comes to using it. I don't know if I should talk too much about it because you can find far better and more informative videos on YouTube. I really like Dr. Dre's explanation of how a retinoid works and how to use it on your skin, because you can't just start using it full force on your whole face from day one. You have to do just a tiny pea size, and then you might have to start doing it every 3 days and then slowly work your way up to using it every day. And then when you first start using it also, there'll be a lot of peeling. Basically, it's just not for the faint of heart, and you have to go into it with your eyes wide open. But for the results that it has brought me, I will use this till the end of my days. And if I could only pick one active, I would pick tretinoin or retinol. I've tried a lot of different retinols over the years. I'll put on screen some of the ones that I really like and those I would recommend as well. There's the CeraVe, it's a teal bottle, I forgot the full name. I think it's resurfacing retinol or something, and you can find it in Venus Beauty, so it's very accessible. So I highly recommend starting with that one if you're curious about retinol, because it can do so many things that you would have to get individual actives to do. Like, it exfoliates your skin at the same time that it can fade hyperpigmentation, and it's also anti-aging because it encourages your skin to build up its own collagen. So that's how the anti-aging effect comes in. And I know I'm only 28, but besides the vanity of anti-aging, I also just want to take care of my skin. It's not just to look younger, it's also to improve the health of my skin overall, because the stronger your skin is, the hardier it is, the more it's able to protect itself from the environment. But don't expect it to be a fix-all, because it's not like you're never gonna get pimples for the rest of your life. I still get pimples. In fact, I have one now. I have a pimple patch on it. And that was something surprising that I had to accept, because I thought once I got used to tretinoin, I would never get a pimple ever again in my life, but I still do. But overall, my overall complexion is a lot better than before I started. I've been on tretinoin for the past 3 years, and it's made a huge difference. If you want to get tretinoin in Singapore with a prescription, you would have to go through a dermatologist. But if you were to buy the cream from Bangkok, I think my friend managed to get a 10-gram tube for about $6 or $7. This is a 30 grams, but I don't think the 30 grams is as easily accessible as the 10 grams. If you're able to get your hands on it, it's really affordable. Otherwise, the more commercial retinols, there are more affordable options as well. Like the CeraVe one, which I think is about $30, and it can last about 3 to 6 months. So that is tretinoin. I will talk about my other actives now. The next one I always use every morning is a vitamin C serum. This is by the brand Milano CC. It's a Japanese brand, and if you can get it in Japan, it's very affordable. I think it's about 800 yen. In Singapore, if you can get it on sale, I've gotten it from Watson's for I think $11. I would stock up if I see it in Singapore and it's on sale. I use this every morning before I put on my sunscreen, and I think for vitamin C it's better to wear it in the morning because it can help fight free radicals while you're in the sun during the day. So it fits very well in my morning routine, so at night I'll just use other things. And this little tube, it's only 20 milliliters, but it can last up to 6 months or more. My last tube lasted about 6 to 8 months, so it's just a really cost-effective vitamin C option, and I do notice a difference. I feel like it helps my dark spots fade a bit quicker, and generally it's a good ingredient to have in your skincare routine if you're looking to fade dark marks or just improve your overall complexion. I've used this for I think over 2 years now. The next two things I'll talk about together, and that is my The Ordinary lactic acid and salicylic acid serum. So lactic acid is an AHA, salicylic acid is a BHA, and I just find these serums to be very cost effective and also effective in itself on my skin. I got these from Sephora. I'm not sure about the price, but I think it's less than $30 for each serum. You can technically find it for cheaper on Shopee, but you might have to put in more effort in researching which sellers are the more legit ones, because there's a risk of getting a fake product if you were to buy it from Shopee, unless you get it from a more reputable seller. I got mine from Sephora just so that I don't have to deal with possibly wondering if my product is fake or not. So these are my exfoliating serums, and I don't use them every single day. I tend to use them on days when I am not using tretinoin. Tretinoin I try to use every night, but some nights I want to take a day off because my skin is feeling a bit sensitive, or I want to prioritize maybe exfoliating my skin over just the tretinoin. I tend to use the lactic acid more if I want to focus on exfoliating my skin overall. And if my skin is feeling a bit clogged, I don't know how to explain, like I just feel like my pores are a bit more exaggerated, I tend to use my salicylic acid. So I like to concentrate this on my T-zone, so my nose, my chin area and my forehead, because that's where I tend to get the oiliest, and salicylic acid is good to clean out the pores and clean out the sebum that is stuck in those pores. And sometimes I use salicylic acid during the day as well, in conjunction with my vitamin C. I think for lactic acid it's best to use this at night because it can make your skin more sensitive to the sun if you use it during the day. I know it sounds like a lot of rules you have to know, like if something can be used in the day or night, but when in doubt, just keep your routine as simple as possible, and that way you don't even have to think about when to use what. But retinol or tretinoin you definitely only use at night because it can make your skin more sensitive to the sun, so best to just use it at night. So those are my actives. Let me try to go through the rest of my skincare much more quickly. Oh, I forgot to mention, I have my benzoyl peroxide. This is what I use to put on active spots, especially if it's like a deep spot, like a cystic acne spot. I got this from Watsons or Guardian. It's just the Galderma brand, so it's quite a medical brand. This is a very big tube, and I wish it came in a smaller tube because I'm never gonna finish 60 grams before it expires. And you don't need that much of it either, because this can be really drying, and you have to be careful with it also because apparently it can bleach dark fabrics. Even though it's drying, I find it quite effective, and it also kills the bacteria that causes the pimple. You just have to be careful because it is very drying. And I also heard that you cannot use benzoyl peroxide and tretinoin together. So at night, if I have a pimple and I'm using tretinoin, I'll just skip benzoyl peroxide. I might use my salicylic acid instead. So I'll only use benzoyl peroxide during the day or at night if I'm not using tretinoin. Let me put back all my actives first. Next, I want to talk about my moisturizers. I only use moisturizers at night because during the day I wear sunscreen, which I'll talk about later. But at night, after my actives, I will just put on moisturizer and then go to sleep. The first one I want to talk about is this Natori Hatomugi Skin Conditioning Milk. It's quite a big bottle, it's 230 ml, and this is a really affordable option from Watsons or Guardian or Venus Beauty. I think I got this on sale for $10, but original price I think is about $12 to $13, but for a big bottle like this I think it's really cost effective. For my moisturizers, I don't need anything fancy from them. I just need them to moisturize my skin enough so that it doesn't feel dry when I'm sleeping. Even though I have oily skin, I still have to moisturize my skin, so I try to find a lighter weight moisturizer or a moisturizer that is not too oily. I tend to like the creamier ones. I don't mind a thick cream as long as the cream is not oily. If you're oily skin like me, you might enjoy this a lot, and I think this on its own might be enough for your moisturizing needs, especially in Singapore where it's so humid. So I highly recommend this. I usually put this on first before my tretinoin, just as a barrier, a protective barrier before I put on the tretinoin. And you can do that. It doesn't affect like the rate of how much the ingredient can be absorbed or anything. Unless, of course, you put like Vaseline, then that might prevent your tretinoin from absorbing. But if you're using a regular old moisturizer, then it shouldn't affect. Like I said, I don't mind a thicker moisturizer. So for the longest time, I was actually using Vanicream. This wasn't in here because it's actually by my bedside because it's pretty much almost gone, and I have now started using the rest of this on my body. This is technically a body moisturizer, but it's so mild that I've been using it on my face skin for the past, I think 3 years. But I think I might stop buying it because it's not as accessible as other brands. So this I have to always get from Shopee, from a reseller, whereas brands like CeraVe or maybe even QV are similar to this, but they are more readily accessible in Venus Beauty. So I think I might just skip this and try other brands, purely for the fact that this is not so easily accessible. And I'm also quite frustrated by the pump because this pump is actually broken. So I've had to take out the product and put it in a separate container. So this is actually some of the product from here. And then the remaining that I didn't want to scrape out, I've just been using it for my body. This is a very thick moisturizer, and I just find it really comforting to put as a last layer on my skin before I go to sleep, which is why I've used it for a really long time. And it doesn't make my skin feel oily or overheated. I feel like it really protects my skin at night right before I sleep. If you want to try this out, I do recommend it. Just be prepared that it is a thicker moisturizer. Do you actually need 2 moisturizers? No, but it was nice to have this while I have it. And I like the option of having a thicker moisturizer. So once I completely run out of this one, I might try the CeraVe moisturizing cream. CeraVe? But I might try their moisturizing cream because that one is available in Venus Beauty and I think they have a similar consistency. Oh, I forgot to talk about 2 more moisturizers. This is why you shouldn't have so many skincare products. I have this Sunjong moisturizer. It's the Etude House Sunjong 10 Panthensolcite Cica Balm. I think it's a blend of the words panthenol and metacasicite. So 2 very healing ingredients. So throughout my skincare routine for the past many years, I've always tried to have like a balm type product for when my skin is very irritated. So maybe from the tretinoin or just what I've been doing to it, like I over exfoliated it or something. It's nice to have a very calming sort of cream. So for the longest time it was actually the La Roche-Posay Cica Plus Balm, but the texture of that was very difficult to work with. I went through a couple tubes of that actually, so I did try to work with it for a long time. But after I finished the last tube, I figured I wanted to try something else that is more pleasant to work with in terms of the texture, because that Cica Plus was very pasty. I still kind of think the Cica Plus was better in terms of its calming qualities, but it's just that the texture of the Cica Plus was slightly more unpleasant. But this one is more of like a cream, like a thick gel that is a bit more hard, like a bit more hardy like Vaseline, but not oily and greasy like Vaseline. I don't know how to describe it, but I think it kind of does the job. So it's a much thicker moisturizer and it has more calming properties than my other moisturizers. And then I have this Curel Intensive Moisture Care Powder in Balm. This one was a bit of an impulse purchase. I asked my friend to help me get it when she was in Japan because I tried it out in a Welshire, I think. They were having, this is a new release, so they were having a pop-up. If you've used a silicone primer before, this just feels like a silicone primer. So I would say this might be more on the makeup side rather than the skincare side, but they do market it as a skincare product. And its purpose is to mattify your skin. So it has a high concentration of dimethicone, I believe. But you can use it as a moisturizer. Technically, dimethicone is a skincare ingredient as well. And this does mattify my skin. So it's a weird hybrid skincare product where you can technically use this as makeup as well. If you wear foundation and you want to have like a matte finish on your skin before you put foundation on. I don't wear foundation, but if I ever need that sort of mattifying effect on my face for whatever reason, it's nice to have this. But again, not necessary. It was just one of those impulsive things that I got. Okay, that should be it for my moisturizers. Sorry, I should have been more organized with this. Finally, we have my sunscreens. So right now I have 2 in rotation. I have this Skin Aqua Super Moisture UV Gel, SPF 50 plus PA 4+. And I also have the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Aqua Fresh. So this is the fresher, oily skin version of their famous Beauty of Joseon Rice Sun, the regular one that went viral a few months back. So below is the original compared to the newer release on top. I happen to have the original also because I bought these in a brand box and it was cheaper to get the brand box than it was to just buy one. So that's why I have the original. But I might give this away because I have tried a small sample size version of the original before and I didn't like it because it was far too oily for my skin. And I think that is basically a summary of why I used to prefer Japanese sunscreens over Korean sunscreens, because a few years ago there was this whole movement against having any alcohol in cosmetics because alcohol is seen as very drying for the skin, and so a lot of Korean brands just avoid having alcohol in any of their products, including their sunscreens. But Japanese products still contain alcohol as one of the highest ingredients in their sunscreens, which is not a bad thing because it makes for a lighter texture, especially for people with oily skin and those who live in humid climates, where there's already so much moisture in the air that you want your product to not be heavy on the skin. That's why for the longest time I couldn't wear any Korean sunscreens and I could only wear Japanese sunscreens. So that's why I have a Japanese sunscreen. But I found that a lot of Japanese sunscreens have also started moving towards becoming more moisturizing, which maybe is a result of their demographic changing. But it's just been really hard to find a good sunscreen because the annoying thing about Japanese sunscreens is that they tend to reformulate their products frequently. Like every year they will reformulate it and they won't necessarily change the packaging. So case in point is that my last holy grail sunscreen was actually this Suncut sunscreen, the Suncut Perfect Gel, and I love this for ages and I would always ask my friends to get this for me if they go to Japan. But then they suddenly reformulated, I think at the beginning of last year, because I had a few backups, right? And then when I finally got to the latest backup, the formula was different. Like I could tell from the texture, the color, it was just a different formula. And so I realized they had reformulated without changing the packaging. So this is the reformulated one that I haven't even opened because I plan to give this away. It was just too oily for my skin, and my skin is very sensitive to oily sunscreens because I will start to get clogged pores and whiteheads because it's just too heavy for my skin and it sits on my skin the whole day. So it's really important that my sunscreen is lightweight, and these heavier, greasier sunscreens are just not suitable for my skin. So that's one very frustrating thing about Japanese sunscreens, is that they reformulate formulas that work out for you and then their new formula might not necessarily work out for you. And then you have to scramble all over again to find a sunscreen that works for you. I've gone through that with many sunscreens. I used to use like the Skin Aqua with the gold cap and the white body, and that was a holy grail for ages until they reformulated it. That's why I changed. I have it here actually. This was my OG sunscreen and then they changed the formula, so I had to scramble to find a new one, which was this one, and then they changed the formula for this one. But the reason why I have another bottle is that it's very good for my neck and the rest of my body. My neck is not so picky compared to my skin, so if I find a sunscreen that I'm disappointed with, I just use it on my neck exclusively, and then I'll have to scramble to find a sunscreen that works for my face. And right now, what works for my face is this one, and miraculously the Korean sunscreen, the Beauty of Joseon one, because this is a far lighter weight version. I'm almost out of this tube, as you can see. This is a Korean sunscreen, so it doesn't have the alcohol, but surprisingly it still works for me in Singapore. It works fine in Japan and Korea because I brought this tube to those countries, but the climates there are drier anyway. But I think in Singapore it still works out. They're kind of similar, these two, and it doesn't break me out. So when I was in Korea, I got two more sunscreens because it's far cheaper to get in Korea as well. I also have another sunscreen backup. This one I got when I was in Japan almost 2 years ago. So sunscreen is one thing where I will have multiple backups of because I wear sunscreen every single day. I guess I should have started with why you should be wearing sunscreen every single day, but because I wear sunscreen every single day, I don't mind having a ton of backups. This one is used, but these are all my backup sunscreens and that I may or may not use. But the thing is, I can always use it on my neck even if I don't like using it on my face. And I don't mind having backups because I will have to buy them anyway, and I'd rather buy them when I can get them for cheaper. So that's usually when I'm overseas or when my friends go overseas and I ask them to bring some back for me. In fact, all of these sunscreens I got from overseas. I didn't buy them in Singapore. But yes, going back to why you should be wearing sunscreen, the sun, as beautiful as it is, causes a lot of damage to our skin. It causes UV damage. I don't really know how to explain the science, and I think you can just search up why we should wear sunscreen on YouTube and you'll find a very convincing video. But it's said that if you don't wear sunscreen, then all your efforts in having a skincare routine is just going to waste because the sun's rays will just undo all the hard work that you put into maintaining your skin. And that's why I wear sunscreen every single day, rain or shine. The one thing that I don't do is reapply my sunscreen because technically you're supposed to reapply every 2 hours, but I'm too lazy to do that, so I just try my best to put on a solid layer in the morning and then try not to touch my face for the rest of the day and use an umbrella and everything. So that's what I try to do to minimize sun exposure. Sun exposure can also cause age spots. Again, always look this up and don't always rely on what I say, but I believe the sun's rays triggers a negative chain reaction in your skin that ultimately causes a lot of long-term damage to your skin cells at a DNA level. That's why it's important to protect your skin from the sun, especially if you're concerned about anti-aging or acne or just maintaining the health of your skin. Even if not for vanity, for the long-term preservation and health of your skin, it's important to wear sunscreen. So please wear your sunscreen. And that is all my sunscreens. It's getting quite dark. I've been filming for a long time. So maybe we'll just do lips first. That's the last thing on my face. And I do have a few lip products that I really love. So my main lip balm that I use every night, that I've been using since I think 2014, and that's the Smith's lip balm. This is a variation of the most popular lip balm, which is their Rosebud Salve, but I actually prefer the Minted Rose because I love the minty feeling. But I have both because I wanted to try the original Rosebud Salve. Firstly, the packaging is beautiful. I think that's what drew me in, but ultimately the product is so good that I have just repurchased this over and over, even though it's basically an overpriced fragrance version of plain Vaseline, which I also have. But I use this Vaseline not for my lips, but just as a general skin protectant if I need to put it over a very irritated part of my skin. I just put Vaseline on that area, and I think it's nice to have. It started to rain. But I have this just in case as a skin protectant. But as a lip balm, I do prefer the texture of the Smith's lip balms. And my trick is to always put a thick layer of lip balm every single night before I sleep. And then in the morning, I will use my toothbrush to gently exfoliate my lips. By the end of the night, usually there's a layer of skin that just naturally wants to come off because of the thick lip balm I put at night. Because otherwise, I think I have chronically dry lips or something. So if I don't do that, I will have dry lips basically every single day. And I've had this problem since I was in secondary school. Once I started doing this technique of putting on a thick layer of lip balm every night before I sleep and exfoliating it away in the morning, that has helped a lot in preventing the dry skin during the day. Because having dry lip skin during the day is very uncomfortable and painful, because when I smile, my lips would split. And I don't know why that happens to me. Now, that has been an ongoing issue since I was in secondary school, so I always make sure to have lip balm on me whenever I travel, and I continue to just put a thick layer on at night before I sleep. I also have these other lip balms that I really enjoy. I really like the Mentholatum Melty Cream Lip. This is the milk vanilla flavor. This is a very good standard stick lip balm. I use this every morning right after I wash my face and brush my teeth and my lips are feeling very dry, especially after exfoliating them. This is the first thing that I put on. And then I also have two tinted ones. I consider these more skincare than makeup, hence why I put them in this category. Oh, I also have a lip oil. So these three all have varying degrees of color, but I would say they're still quite translucent, and I do use them to moisturize my lips. Whereas for my actual makeup lip products, I use them for aesthetic reasons, but these are more for their nourishing qualities. I have the Clarins lip oil. This is the one that I mentioned in my What's in My Bag video. I carry this around in my bag all the time. This is the color Cherry. And I think this is my second or third bottle. I think this is my third bottle actually, because I really like it. The color is great and it's also very hydrating on my lips. And then I have the balm version. I got this when I was in Korea because it was much cheaper in duty free. And this is basically the balm version of that lip oil. Then finally, I have a pinkish lip balm, and this is the Vaseline Lip Therapy in the color Pretty Peach. This is a very pinkish sort of color, and surprisingly the color does show up on my lips even though I have quite dark lips. I actually bought this for my mom when I was in Korea, but then when I actually tried it, I really liked it a lot, so she just gave it back to me. Yeah, so those are my lip balms, but these are more for daytime use, whereas my Smith's lip balms are for nighttime use. Finally, I want to talk about some of my less frequently used products that are maybe more special occasion treatments or something that I don't need to use as frequently. So the first category is makeup. removers. I have two makeup removers. I have the Garnier Micellar Cleansing Water and the Bifesta Eye Makeup Remover, also micellar. But this is the bi-phase one where you have to shake it. There's an oil and a water, so you shake it before using, whereas this one is just a clear water. And I use this to remove like a specific makeup if I need to. So for example, sometimes I would use this to remove my eyebrow pencil if I want to remove my makeup during the day. So when it's not yet time to wash my entire face, but I want to remove some makeup from certain parts of my face, I'll use the micellar cleansing water. This one I bought, you know what? I bought this specifically to remove this lipstick I used to have, which was the Maybelline, the Super Stay and the Vinyl lipstick. I don't have those lipsticks anymore, but those were super hardy on my lips that even my regular oil cleanser could barely remove them from my lips. So I found that I had to buy a specific makeup remover just to wipe off that lipstick before I go ahead and wash my entire face. So that probably should have been a sign that it wasn't a good lipstick for me, because it was just such a hassle to remove it and required such specific cleansers to get it off my face. So now that I don't have that lipstick anymore and I don't wear any makeup, any stubborn makeup that would require such a heavy duty makeup remover, I'm wondering if this is redundant in my collection. I might give this away to somebody. So I might have to pass this along eventually before it expires. These I usually keep in my bathroom cabinet so that it's easy access when I want to wash my face, so I don't keep it in here. The last two things that I have, or at least I hope it's the last two things, the last two beauty products are two face masks. So firstly, I have a box of sheet masks. This is the brand VT Cosmetics, and it's one of those daily sheet masks that you can use every single day, and it's almost like a tissue box. There's a tweezer there and you can pick up each individual sheet mask, and there are 30 inside. Honestly, this was a bit of an impulse buy because it was on sale, I think for $10, this whole box of 10-ish, maybe like 12 or something. This whole box of 30, and this was shortly before I left for my Japan trip. So I had this wild idea that we could all do sheet masks together on that trip, which we kind of did, but probably just once. And so there's still a lot left in here, and I've just decided to put it next to my bed so that at night, if I have the urge, I can just wear a sheet mask before I sleep. But I wouldn't repurchase this again because it's just too many and I don't wear enough to justify having this around. It's really quite indulgent, but it does look quite cute to have this little box. But I wouldn't recommend it. I think unless you wear sheet masks daily, it's just a bit excessive. And then the last thing that I have is a moisturizing mask. It's actually a honey mask. It's a mask with honey ingredients in it, and it's from the brand I'm from. The thing is, it smells really good, and I've used this mask many times in the past, but when I was in Korea last year and I was in Olive Young and I saw this and it was, I think, only $22, I impulsively bought it, even though I know that I have used this in the past and I can never finish it, and I've even had to sell the jar I had because I just wasn't using it enough. Yet I still bought it because I thought it was a good deal. I kind of regret it because I have not used it since I came back, mostly due to time. This is quite a hassle to put on and then wash off because I have to wash my face and I have to put this on a clean face, and then I have to wait around for 10 minutes or something. They say you can leave this on for up to an hour, but if I do leave it on for up to an hour, it means that I have to sit around for an hour with this on my face. And so all that has just prevented me from wanting to use it at all. But I do hope after filming this video, I will find the motivation in me to use this finally. And I have used this before, so I know what it feels on my skin, and it does feel nice. But with masks and stuff, I feel like it's just a nice to have, a nice to do. It's not vital to your skincare routine, and oftentimes the results are temporary. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Oftentimes with all these skincare, once you stop using, your skin will go back to its original state of not being moisturized or not being exfoliated. So for a wash-off product, I don't know. I think I need to not put so much hopes into this product and just enjoy it for what it is, which is a very indulgent experience of having this wonderful smelling thing on my face that will hopefully moisturize and nourish my skin. Like, have it be a little self-care, indulgent half an hour of my life or something like that. So I have this now and I hope I use it. Then I also have a bunch of pimple patches. Wow, I have a lot. I have 2, 4, 6. I have 8 backups. I have one that I'm using right now in the skincare drawer, but I have 8 more as a backup because I only buy this when it's on sale, when it's on a really good sale. So I could get maybe 3 for $10 compared to, I think original price is 3 for $20. So I only get it when it's on sale, and then I just stock up because I love this. This is my all-time favorite pimple patches, the best I've ever used. I was a huge fan of the CosRX ones. I think CosRX really made popular the pimple patch, but I found their patches have gone down in quality over the years, but the Wishtrend brand is where it's at. It's called the Clear Skin Patch and it has 3 sizes. They have a regular size, a small size, and a wider size. I'm actually wearing it right now. I don't know if you can see. I'm wearing the small size on a pimple that I squeezed in the morning, and so what it does is that it helps to protect the wound and absorb any exudate that comes out of it, any like water or any remaining bacteria out of it. It's a hydrocolloid patch. So technically you could get any hydrocolloid patch and just cut it up to size, but I like this especially for the daytime because it's just such a nice size, and it's, I guess I can show you on my face. You can see like the outside of it is thinner than the inside. So the inside is where the hydrocolloid is much thicker, and then the outside is much thinner so that it blends with the rest of your skin. So if you're wearing makeup, for instance, you could easily blend that in and have it be invisible. But if not, it's just really good quality and it sticks to my skin more firmly than any other patch. I feel like it can last the whole day and it won't come off or anything. So it's very sticky, it absorbs really well, and it's just a really great pimple patch. The only problem is that you have to buy from Shopee, so it's not as easily accessible as going down to a store. That's why I buy so many backups of it, so that I always have it ready if I need it. Then finally, I have a whole bunch of oil blotting sheets because I'm an oily person and I'm constantly blotting my face. I have this in my office, I have this in my bag, I have this in my skincare station so that I can easily blot my face when I'm working from home. This is my favorite ones, the Clean and Clear. They have the blue one as well, which is just unfragrance. The pink one is grapefruit flavored, so I prefer having the grapefruit scent. But if they don't have this version, I can just get the blue one. And I always buy this from Venus because it's only $3 in Venus. If you buy from Watson's, it's like $6. So I always stock up when I'm running low. And I think that is the end of this video. I'm sorry it's so long. I actually wanted to combine my skincare and my makeup in this video, but I'm so tired and I think this video is long enough, so I might have to just do my makeup in a separate video. And I have to say before I end, of course, that I know it seems like a lot of products and maybe it's coming across like I'm saying you need to have all these products in order to have clear skin, but what I'm really saying is that you need to be consistent. That is more important than any fancy schmancy ingredient that is hot right now. Just stick to what is tried and true for you. So that could just mean washing your face well, using a retinol or whatever active works for you, and moisturizing your face and sunscreen. That's it, just 4 steps. Unless you are a skincare enthusiast like me, you don't need this whole situation that I have right here. And most importantly, of course, is that consistency is key. You cannot just buy the things and use it once a week and expect to see results. So it's the same as with a lot of things in life, finances included. Consistency is key. I would say more, but I'm pretty tired and I will end this video now. Hopefully I can cut this into a respectable length, but if not, and you've stuck through the end, thank you so much for watching. This has been an ordeal to film, but I had a great time talking about all of my products and I hope you got a recommendation or 2 that you will like. Thank you for sticking around. I will talk to you in my next video. If you have any skincare tips or skincare stories, please feel free to share in the comments. I would love to hear them. Any recommendations also, please share them. Maybe next time I'll plan it better so that I won't ramble so much. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!